Well, it's about a lot of things, but one of the things it's about is the fact that they've allowed millions of people to come into our country from their prisons, from gangs, from drug dealers, and from mental institutions, probably proportionately more than anybody else. They came in from many countries. We're getting them out. We had 11,888 murderers come into our country. Many of them are from Venezuela. We had thousands of Tren de Aragua, the gang, come in from, which they say is the most violent gang. I don't know, MS-13 is pretty bad, but Tren de Aragua, they say, is the most violent gang. That comes from the prisons of Venezuela. It came out of the prisons of Venezuela. So it has to do with a lot of things. They've treated us badly, and I guess now we're not treating them so good. If you look at the drug traffic by sea is down 92%. And nobody can figure out who the 8% is, because I have no idea. Anybody getting involved in that right now is not doing well. And we'll start that on land, too. It's going to be starting on land pretty soon. Thank you, Peter.
Mr. President, in Indiana, just a few moments ago, the Senate there rejected the congressional maps to redistrict in that state. A number of Republicans voted against that redistricting effort. You have spent a lot of time talking about this. The Vice President traveled to Indiana. What's your reaction?
Well, we won every other state. That's the only state. It's funny because I won Indiana all 3 times by a landslide, and I wasn't working on it very hard. Would have been nice. I think we would have picked up 2 seats if we did that. You had one gentleman, the head of the Senate, I guess, Bray, whatever his name is. I heard he was against it. He'll probably lose his next primary, whatever that is. I hope he does, but because he's done a tremendous disservice. I mean, think of it. It's a great place. I love the people there. They love me. You know, we won in a landslide all 3 times. Got tremendous votes. I got record votes. And then there's no reason for doing that. And the Democrats do it to us, so I can't imagine that they do it. But I wasn't very much involved. But there's a man named Bray, as head of the Senate. Was that Bray? Is that the name, Bray? I mean, I'm sure that whenever his primary is, it's, I think, in 2 years, but I'm sure he'll go down. He'll go down. I'll certainly support anybody that wants to go against him.
Well, if I could ask you briefly about on AI and then a question on Ukraine. On the AI side, the flip side of what you've done today is what kind of agreements you can get with China, particularly on the national security threats posed by AI. During the Biden administration, there was a vague agreement on not using AI in the nuclear weapons complex. Tell us what you envision and what conversations you've had, if any, with President Xi on that topic.
Well, relevant to AI?
Yes.
I speak to him a lot about it. I speak to him a lot, actually. I have a very good relationship with him, as you know. If you had another president, you would have had a big rare earth problem, and it turned out not to be a problem. They're purchasing tremendous amounts of the soybeans and our agricultural products now. We're getting along with them very well. No, we talk about AI quite a bit. We talk about everything quite a bit.
Well, do you have specific guardrails you're trying to put together with them?
One of the things I talk to China about is the denuclearization of weapons. We'd like to see if we could stop that. I'm talking about nuclear weapons. I've spoken to China about that. I've spoken to Russia about that. And I think it would be something that we would want to do, and they would like to do, and I think Russia would like to do.
They've said they won't join New START or a follow-on to New START.
Well, that's what they've told you, but you know what they tell you is different than what they tell you.
And on Ukraine, Mr. President, just briefly, you made a commitment to the Europeans back in July, if I remember right, to participate in some kind of a peacekeeping force should there be a peace agreement. You mentioned, I think, air support, intelligence, and so forth. Does that commitment still stand? Is the U.S. ready to go contribute to this?
It's called the security agreement, basically, that they call it. The security agreement. Yeah, we would help. We would help with security because it's, I think, a necessary factor in getting it done. I thought that we were very close with Russia to having a deal. I thought we were very close with Ukraine to having a deal. In fact, other than President Zelensky, his people loved the concept of the deal. You know, we threw something out.
This is the 4-part deal that you...
Well, there's 4 or 5 different parts.